It is 19 months since Itay and the last time that we spoke to him. And to be honest, the families are tired. We are tired from the fact that this psychological warfare of Hamas that do not give any acknowledgement who is in their possession, do not allow the International Committee of the Red Cross to come and visit the hostages and provide treatment and medication, and also do not provide any indication of physical status of the hostages, and even doing the basic dignity for those that were killed.
Dopo essere intervenuto al Consiglio di sicurezza delle Nazioni Unite, Ruby Chen, padre del soldato israeliano-americano Itay Chen rapito da Hamas il 7 ottobre 2023, ha rilasciato all'Italpress un'intervista all'ONU. Il video è un intenso appello alla coscienza internazionale, a quasi 20 mesi dal sequestro del figlio, catturato a soli 19 anni e poi mai più incontrato o solo visto. Ruby Chen denuncia la guerra psicologica condotta da Hamas, ma le sue parole più dure sono rivolte al governo israeliano di Benjamin Netanyahu, accusato di aver emesso la vittoria totale prima del dovere morale di riportare a casa gli ostaggi.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has made repeated promises to bring the hostages home. After all this, do you believe his government is doing everything it can, or has Itay's faith been buried under politics and military strategy?
So when it comes to the Prime Minister and how we feel about him and how he prioritizes and his government prioritizes the issue of hostages, the families feel a bit lost. And the international community gave the Prime Minister and his government about 17 months of a blank check to do whatever is needed to A, dismantle Hamas, B, bring the last hostage back. He has been unsuccessful on those two items. And it is unfortunate, but the families feel that the United States actually cares more about bringing the hostages back than the Israeli government, because they have stated, the Israeli government, there are two objectives to the war. One, dismantling of Hamas. B, returning the last hostage. And the Prime Minister and his cabinet members have said that they prioritize total victory, which is the dismantling of Hamas. And I say to him and to his ministers, total victory is when you get the last hostage out.
Itay is also a citizen of Israel, but also the United States and Germany. Do you believe that current US and German administration are truly committed in securing his release? Or has their attention and their responsibility faded over time?
So when it comes to the responsibility of the United States, I could say for a fact that President Trump has done a lot when it comes to hostages, U.S. hostages. And it is a maybe not known fact that since his inauguration, 46 U.S. citizens have been released from captivity as either hostages or unlawfully detained. That is an astonishing number. And we need to thank him and a special president envoy to the Middle East, Mr. Steve Witkoff, for all the efforts that they have done in bringing hostages out. But I'd like to remind the audience, there are still 4 U.S. citizens that are held in captivity. Idan Alexander, here in the picture, he was released about 10 days ago. He's from Tenafly, New Jersey. In addition, there's my son, Itay Chen, that is a New Yorker. And we also have here Omer Neutra, also from Plainview, Long Island. And we have here a couple, very nice couple, as you could see in the picture, Judy and Gadi Weinstein. They're from New York as well. And they also have not come back. So we have faith that this administration that got Idan Alexander out 10 days ago can do this again. And we have evidence that when they called on Hamas via Qatar to bring out Idan, that happened. So there should be no reason that they should not call for the other 4 U.S. citizens as well. And we have seen Germany also that have been trying to do what they can. It is unfortunate, but they are not at the table, the negotiation table. So they have less influence. But of course, they're very sympathetic and try to do what they can to help the German hostage families.
The Israeli government has repeatedly accused the United Nations and Secretary General Antonio Guterres personally of showing bias or even anti-Semitism in their handling of the Gaza. As a father of a hostage, what is your view? Do you believe that UN has helped or hindered the hard work to bring Itay and the others home?
So when it comes to the UN, we have the Israeli government position, and I think sometimes it is not helpful the way that they view the UN. I think that we, the families, the hostage families, we are not representing the policy of the Israeli government. We are simple people that, for lack of better term, we are collateral damage of a tragedy that has been going on in the Middle East for many, many decades. And we, the families, wish something very simple: to decouple the Palestinian issue from our tragedy. And there's no competition on pain. There are also the people in Gaza that are suffering. There are those that have been used as human shields again and again by a terrorist organization that has no value for life or for the deceased and giving them dignity. And we, the families, come to the UN and again look at Resolution 2474, which was passed by Kuwait, and ask the UN to implement this resolution where there is a need for state actors and non-state actors, such as Hamas, to obey to basic principles, which is providing knowledge of missing people in areas of conflict, and when it comes to the deceased, exchanging the deceased as the first step to getting calm back in that region of conflict.
The Pope, the new Pope, Leo, in his first speech, he spoke about the hospital. He spoke about him and what you expect that the leader of Catholic Church could do.
So first, we wish to thank Pope Leo XIV for stating in his first speech the fact that he wants to see and prays for the release of the hostages and for a ceasefire in Gaza. It is very important for the family. Sometimes, politicians get things messed up. And actually, the religious leaders from all faiths, both Christian, Judaism, as well as Islam, they share the same principles. We are all the children of Abraham, and we share the same fundamental aspects when it comes to the deceased. And this is something that is in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, and even in the Quran, that there is dignity to bring to the deceased. And we urge Pope Leo to reach out to also the Islamic faith, the leaders of the Islamic faith, and condemn this type of barbaric actions of taking dead people and not providing the families the basic first knowledge of what happened to their family members, and B, providing the deceased with the human dignity and human rights that they deserve, because they do not have a voice and they get lost in the shadows. And that is not according to any religion on this planet. And we hope that Pope Leo continues to speak loudly on this topic of releasing the hostages, with an emphasis on the deceased. They need to have their dignity.
You've met with leaders spoken across continents and carried your son's story to the world. But do you feel the international community still cares? Or is the world slowly abandoning those out in Gaza? And in particular, do you think, for example, Italian government or other European government, do you think that they did all they could do to help?
Yeah, so when it comes to the international community, how they could be helpful to U.S. citizens, but also to the other 54 hostages today in Gaza. I claim that the way to pressure Hamas is not just military pressure. There are other dimensions to create pressure. There is also economic sanctions. There's also legal actions that can be on the organization of Hamas. It is unfortunate, but based on intelligence that I've learned, Hamas, even today, are able to pay to their supporters, tens of thousands of people in Gaza, a monthly paycheck. Where's that money coming from? There are different charity funds that are also existent in Europe and the Far East, where they're used as financial hubs for this global terrorist financing network that give monies to Hamas. The U.S. could sanction those entities, and they do in some cases, but if Europe does not participate and also sanction those bodies, then those sanctions are not effective. And just as an example, Turkey, who is a NATO ally, a lot of money from Hamas comes through Turkey. And the question is, what is the international community or the European Union doing about that? Because what happened to the people in Israel could happen also to the people in Europe. It is not a wild imagination for a terrorist organization to come from Libya or even from inside Europe and do something similar. And what would be the consequence? And the international community must make a stand. It should be a liability, not an asset, to take hostages with no consequences associated to it.
The several weeks that first UN truck were allowed to bring food and
Yes.
help to the civilian population in Gaza. What is your reaction? Think it's a good thing, this, or complicate the situation of the crisis?
I think that the incoming UN support into Gaza the last 24 hours is hopefully part of a stepping stone to a larger deal where it started with the release of the U.S. hostage Idan Alexander, and as a step of good faith, there's now food coming into Gaza, and I hope that this will continue with a deal that brings out additional hostages till the last hostage comes out.
If this interview you could reach somehow Iran, if you could hear just one message from you, what would you want to say to your son?
I would say if I had the ability to talk to my son and he would hear this message, I would just plea, don't give up hope. I know it's been a long time. I know that you might lose hope, but please do not lose hope. Soon, this will end, and you will be reunited with your family, and your mother can hug you again, as well as I and his two siblings that are also waiting for him. You are loved, you are not forgotten, and we will get you back. It's not if, it is when.